Thank you, Ken. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to listen to our chat about using infrastructure to drive investment. We're going to start off with another quick video, back-to-back video. So if you wouldn't mind, please. And the Academy Award goes to pretty serious video. Once again, thanks again for your time today. Today we're going to be, again, talking about leveraging infrastructure to improve industrial supply chains. What is HOPA? HOPA is one of 17, the Hamilton Oshawa Port Authority is one of 17 port authorities, federal port authorities in Canada. We're self-funded, which means that we're a for-profit business, meaning that the revenues we generate from the cargo flows, the shipping and land leases pay for our operations and fund our investments. Our mandate is to help Canadian businesses grow and thrive. And we do this by making space for industrial operations, facilitating trade, providing efficient transportation connections, and by operating sustainably and supporting economies of the communities where we do business. In Hamilton and Oshawa, as you saw, we manage over 1,000 acres. We move about 10 million tons of cargo a year over our wharves and rail. Most of that cargo is bulk product. It's related to agriculture, steelmaking, construction, petrochemical, and other liquids. And essentially, we run industrial ecosystems. We have about 140 tenant companies that operate on our properties. The organization of HOPA itself is about 65 full-time staff, including engineers, project managers, maintenance teams, communications, commercial people, administration, and harbor and security people. We manage the infrastructure of a small city, including roads, sewers, buildings, boilers, and above all, the dock walls and rail needed to move goods. And we're growing quickly. In 2019, we were just Hamilton. Later that year, we amalgamated with the Port of Oshawa, adding another 120 acres. And again, later that year, we purchased 13 acres of land in Niagara on the Welland Canal. Later on in 2020, we signed a management agreement with a private company to manage a 150-acre privately owned site of a former paper mill in Thorold, Ontario, again on the Welland Canal. From our facilities, businesses benefit from access to Ontario highways, Class 1 railways, and direct shipping access to any port in the world. Our expertise is in developing and deploying multimodal infrastructure, and the industrial ecosystem of users that exists at each port across our network is a clustered approach that allows our tenants to make connections and find ways to work together. And we put that infrastructure to good use. Again, the cargo we carry is worth over $4 billion a year and has impacts throughout Ontario. We're the host to critical infrastructure to some of Ontario's most important industries, including manufacturing, agri-food, construction materials, steelmaking, road and jet fuels. And we deploy our assets to support strategic users. And when we say strategic users, we mean those types of industries with complex industrial transportation needs, in addition to those just looking for space requirements. We approach each customer's needs with a full set of tools to help them streamline their supply chains. And we help to connect those businesses to other users in that industrial ecosystem. Importantly, we also invest alongside our customers on facilities and infrastructure to help them grow. The example I'd like to share with you today is of our Westport expansion. In 2018, the then Hamilton Port Authority was awarded $17.7 million through Canada's National Trade Corridors Fund, a program that Transport Canada aimed at increasing Canada's transportation capacity and enabling trade. We took a project called the Westport Modernization Project along Piers 12 to 15 in the Port of Hamilton, about 115 hectares. HOPA Ports matched that federal investment for a total of about $35.5 million to form a project to reshape the core of our port in order to create a fluid and efficient trade hub. The Westport Modernization focused on modernizing marine infrastructure, improving rail connectivity, adding new storage capacity, and improving internal roads across Piers 12 to 15. In multiple phases, new docks, rail extensions, reconfigured cargo handling, and new warehousing were added and upgraded. By creating these development parcels and adding berthing capacity and laydown space and modernizing and integrating aging facilities and infrastructure, we've delivered on the objectives of that project and the program. In terms of streamlining our supply chains, we were able to use that transportation supports to improve operations for not only ourselves, but more importantly for our port users. With the strengthening of the dock wall at Pier 12, our fertilizer tenant Sylvite was able to increase vessel and on-site storage volumes, thereby increasing their throughput capacity and reducing transportation movements. We constructed new fabric cargo sheds, and that allowed our stevedoring tenant, Federal Marine Terminals, to store raw sugar for another port user, Sucrocan, a sugar processor. It allowed them to rely more on vessel traffic than trucks for other deliveries, thereby reducing trucks on the road and other supply chain costs, not to mention the environmental footprint. This also increased the capacity of Sucrocan, the sugar refinery, to expand its processing. And we all know that sugar is an essential commodity, which enables Ontario food processors to grow. The outcome of this project was measured in several ways, starting with the $17 million investment from the National Trade Corridors Fund. The total HOPA capital investment from 2018 to 2025 is estimated at $77.5 million, and that's excluding new unsigned customers. To date, $42.5 million of direct third-party investment associated with expanded operations at the Fluke Transport, Hamilton Container Terminals, Solatach Batchy Canada, Federal Marine Terminals, and Amalgamated Trading have been made. We've also newly opened another 16.7 acres on our Pier 15. In addition, we've secured another $78 million in new contracts as of December 2021. We've added 615 employees to those parts of the port, which is about a 105% increase over previous capacity. We've added 1 million tons of cargo throughput at Pier 12, which was almost a 100% increase in throughput at that part of the port. And we've increased our rail capacity by 27% to about 8,000 cars a year. In addition, we've improved the environmental performance across the entire space by changing the mode of transportation. At HOPA, most of our revenue comes from our real estate and leasing portfolio. And the search for industrial space is often where that conversation between ourselves and customers start. And we do have great industrial space for development. But the value we bring is really in the transportation infrastructure that serves those lands and how we use it, connect it, and create opportunities to move goods better. Transportation, as you can see from this diagram, represents a far greater impact than location on a company's overall supply chains. That's why we focus so heavily on getting that piece right for our customers. So Westport is a really great example of how we can leverage capital investment focused just on transportation assets into a project that attracts investments, creates jobs, and improves environmental outcomes. In addition to optimizing multimodal space for industrial supply chains, we're also deploying our assets in new ways in order to improve supply chains and meet economic and sustainability goals in Southern Ontario. By leveraging data, we're able to look at how goods movement through Southern Ontario can be improved. We've all been on the 401, and we know that it's only getting worse. We're looking at how to tap into that excess capacity on the Great Lakes marine system to provide an alternate option to move goods in the region. One example is short sea shipping on the Great Lakes. We're working with partner businesses like Hamilton Container Terminals, a tenant at the port, to pilot a service between Hamilton and Montreal that would take some congestion off the highways by moving containers by sea. More than ever before, market conditions are there. Costs of trucking, driver shortages, road congestion are all making land transportation more difficult, while marine transportation seems to be a viable option. The barriers are mostly regulatory around bringing containers into the Great Lakes, and we're working with the CBSA and other industry partners to overcome those. And when we do, we know there are ready market players who want to introduce services to meet the clear demand. We're also using that data to get a clearer picture of what's moving in and out of the GTHA, where it's going, and how it's getting there. We're working with the McMaster Institute of Transportation and Logistics, and we started looking at 2.5 million truck trips a year just between the GTHA and the US Midwest. Then we'll start honing in on those commodities and understand better which ones are better candidates for marine transportation. We're also looking at incentivizing sustainable choices. Making that systemic shift in transportation mix in Ontario is our big sustainability play. A ship can carry the same amount of goods as about 1,000 trucks, with far lower carbon implications. The more we can do to rebalance Ontario's transportation mix, the more we can have a significant impact. We're also using the power of our port network to enable all of our port users to move in a greener direction. We've introduced fueling capacity for LNG-powered vessels. Liquid natural gas is an important transitional fuel with far better environmental profile than traditional bunker fuel used in ships. We've introduced environmental initiatives, that cost share initiatives for our tenants of up to $50,000 each per year. This is a photo as an example of Federal Marine Terminal's new electric people movers, which we help fund through that program. Across the portlands, we're making changes such as EV charging, solar panels, and efficient lighting. As I mentioned, HOPA is a growing organization and a growing network. The more nodes we have in our regional network, the better able we are to find solutions to help Ontario industries grow and streamline industrial transportation across the region. We do manage 2 federal ports, Hamilton and Oshawa, but the growth in our portfolio more recently has come from managing industrial spaces on behalf of third parties, giving them the strength and capacity of our organization and network. Here's a picture of one of our example properties in Thorold. Again, that's about a 120-acre site of former paper mill with a company called BioVeld. We also have sites in a 56-acre site in Hamilton at the former Max Hiker North America steel mill, and some additional private lands in Hamilton behind our wall on HOPA's Pier 23. Redeveloping industrial brownfields and shuttered factories into modern uses is a major positive outcome of these partnerships. Well, I hope you found this presentation useful. We think it's an exciting time to be in the business of solving supply chain challenges and helping industry grow to be more successful. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them now or meet you in the hallway to address them. Thank you. No, I think the container mode that we're working on right now is just budding. So we're running some trials right now, but I don't have the calculations actually off the top of my mind, but I do know we have our environmental manager here. I'm sure we can get you that information. Thank you. Thank you. Any others? All right. Thank you.